the future. If I want to say something funny or witty or do an impression, I will no longer ever do any of those things.
Does that include That's What She Said?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow, that is really hard. You really think you can go all day long? Well, you always left me satisfied and smiling, so...
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
That's my joke. Damn it, Dwight.
I watched That's What She Said video a number of times.
It's fucking hilarious.
Funnier every time.
I think I'm on the 5th rotation of The Office.
Oh, jeez. Nice.
I just can't do it.
It's okay. I won't judge you too harshly. I promise I won't.
Whatever. I'm not worried about being judged by people that have watched The Office 5 times.
It's not for everybody.
No.
There are people with a sense of humor, and then there's you.
Yep.
I like when you come because then Corey Burns, and he's normally so nice to everyone, but he's not nice to you, and I like that.
He's never been nice.
No, he's nice to everyone else. You just don't notice because he's mean to you.
See? I am a nice person. I was going to say good person, but...
Came out as guy person.
Yeah. That's not necessarily true, so I stuttered.
We could make a new word.
Anyway, this is Angela's.
It's my segment. It's my segment, you guys.
Do it.
So last podcast, I was remotely connected.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get to... I had a lot of thoughts about our interview with James Fell. It was really interesting. He's very articulate and entertaining and a lot of fun. And I was really glad that we could finally have him on the podcast. I think for me, I got far too excited about it.
Why don't you marry him, Angela?
He's already married. And so am I.
I was going to say, so are you. I like how that wasn't your first answer.
Yeah, that shouldn't have been your second reason.
Oh.
I find that being the second reason to be totally reasonable.
I don't know. He's kind of amazing, and
if he wasn't already married, Angela could arrange to not be married.
Like I have the electronic version of his book. I bought the hardcover and then I got the audiobook so that I could listen to it at work while I was
Is it
working.
him?
Oh yeah. Oh. It's fantastic. It's better than reading it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say better than something
in any format, because it's like you're having a conversation with somebody that's cool and isn't an asshole. Like, but and then there's classic rock quotes in there and stuff like that.
Nice.
I don't understand the cool but not an asshole bit, but
it's possible.
I don't get it.
You can reach for the stars. You can be cool and not be an asshole.
There's a few.
So, yeah.
Some people do it.
But the thing that I wanted to bring up from that was recently there was a video that surfaced with Ellen Page on Stephen Colbert.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I didn't see it.
Why
didn't I read the notes?
You should really,
so stupid.
I didn't put this in the notes.
Okay, good.
This is completely like I
it.
thought of it before I left today.
Tell me about it.
Because it kind of, the reason I referenced the Holy Shit Moment book was James Fell talks about how his wife, like in the and even when we talked to him, he talked about how his wife was constantly being interrupted and constantly being dismissed, and he noticed it. She didn't so much notice it. He noticed it.
Right.
And that's something that piqued my interest because my husband has repeatedly said that he notices that I get interrupted a lot in my family when there's functions that happen. And I didn't realize it until Trent said something. And then now that I know, I notice and it pisses me off. And there was that one time when we were at a couple iterations of studios ago, but Destin was like, being destined.
I was being
Oh,
super
I
mean.
remember that day. It was so beautiful.
But
relive it for us. Just explain
Yeah.
it to the listeners.
Yeah,
Do it again.
It was awesome.
There was one. I apologized to you, and then you said you just apologized to me because I interrupted you, and it kind of stuck with me. It was like, yeah, you did fucking interrupt me, and then later on, I did yell at you and said,
That's right.
"Don't fucking interrupt me."
Oh, it was so amazing.
It was great.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it
was so
It
great.
was so fucking funny.
And it was like, you were not going to fuck with her tone like that. You were just like, oh, fuck.
I brought out the big guns. And to that point, like, that's something that I really have been thinking about lately a lot, and thinking, because I've been doing a lot of listening, haven't been doing a lot of talking, and I have a lot of pent up stuff to say, and it's frustrating to be a woman and to feel like I'm being interrupted sometimes, and to feel like people just don't listen to the things that I have to say. And I think sometimes we stick to superficial things because we don't feel like we have a lot of time to say stuff. And the thing that I loved about Ellen Page on Stephen Colbert was he gave her the space to say what she needed to say. He didn't interrupt her. And like someone tweeted, he held the silence for her. And he let those pauses remain. And that, I think, escalated the intensity of what she was saying and her message and the frustration that she felt about marginalized people. And that was amazing to me. That was something that I just loved. And then further to that, this week, what's Jody Wilson-Raybould, our federal not Attorney General.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Lieutenant Governor.
She was a member of the Liberal caucus.
Yeah.
And she was demoted from her post. And in the most recent shuffle of the cabinet. And then some stuff has come out about SNC-Lavalin and their less than above board practices and how they've lobbied the government super hard about messing with the prosecution laws. And she has been in a position where she's been privy to those things. And the suggestion was that she was advised by the Prime Minister to do something about that particular issue. And then she offered her resignation.
She was the Justice Minister.
She was the Justice Minister.
I looked
And
it
then
up.
she was
I didn't know.
demoted to...
Veterans Affairs.
Yes, that's right.
So
You want me to read this? Sorry.
it's, I mean, the point I wanted to make about that, I just wanted to, the thing that I love about that situation, her letter of resignation was posted. And then Justin Trudeau, as Mark Critch put it, stood in front of buses to throw somebody under the bus. In that he was he always called her by her first name, Jody. Like, they were best friends, and he was completely blindsided by it. And the thing that I love the most is that she's not saying a fucking thing. She's basically saying, I'm talking to my lawyer about what to do next.
Right.
She's still present on social media. She's thanking her uncle and her dad for coming out in support of her.
Yeah.
But she's not saying a fucking thing. And I think, honestly, that is driving Justin Trudeau crazy right now. Because she's not giving him the time of day. She's walking away, and I think that drives him fucking nuts.
His reaction to this has been very much like, oh, well, she never said that she was unhappy with the new appointment and la la la.
Well, and he has since said, I haven't. Well, if so and so didn't quit this, then I wouldn't have changed her position. Well, okay, but it's a pretty clear change in position, and it's just he's grabbing at straws. And I think that his position and his behavior now is quite telling to me. It's I listened to a show about this subject not that long ago, actually. They mentioned that this is the kind of thing that outrages even his allies or people who aren't critical of him very much because of this very hypocritical type stance almost. Well, and I think we know that he's a bit of a showman. He's aware of how he's perceived and just the way that his brand is put forth. He's very aware of that. And I think this particular thing, she's not having any of it. And I appreciate her attitude right now. It's very cool. So, I mean, those were the things that I wanted to bring up today. The other thing I wanted to talk about, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and the one that I was thinking of was the Broken Hearts podcast. It's about 2 white women who adopt 6 black children. And it's Hearts, H-A-R-T-S. And it's a collaboration by iHeartRadio and Glamour magazine, of all things.
Okay.
Weird.
And it's 2 female white journalists who are... I'm going to lose my voice because I've been talking too much. But it's a fascinating story because it goes into great detail to the background of these women, and it goes into the background of these children, and the themes of the white women and the white saviorism that kind of weaves through that, and the way that the foster care and adoption system works there, and the perception of these kids being saved by these women. It ended up that these people died. Mm. That's kind of like the main part of the story, but they go into detail. Like they do a lot of interviews of like their neighbors and what happened beforehand and stuff like that. And it's just a really interesting story. It's kind of depressing, but at the same time, it's really fascinating to think about what motivated these women. Either like, was it an abusive relationship? How much did they reveal to their coworkers and neighbors? And were these kids really developmentally disabled, or were they just really not well looked after? So, and did they really need to be adopted across the country away from their family? Because they were living with their grandma. And the reason they got taken from their grandma's house was because their mother, who they'd been originally taken from, she was convicted of a crime, and she went, and like they had been taken from her, and then she ended up looking after the kids when they'd been living with their grandma.
Oh, okay.
And that was what instigated the removal of the kids. And it's a broken system, but it's just an incredibly fascinating podcast to listen to. And also Surviving Y2K, if you ever listened to the Finding Richard Simmons podcast.
I did not.
I did.
So good.
It was good.
Same guy.
Okay.
He did one called Surviving Y2K. And he interviews a bunch of people that were like doing the prepping, and he actually interviews a guy by the name of Bob Blah Blah, who ran for mayor in Regina a few years back.
Nice.
And it's really funny and interesting. And yeah,
Is that blah 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 for mayor?
Yeah,
With the car?
I think so.
It's got for mayor on the back of his car?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that was the guy.
Yeah.
That was the guy. Yeah. And last but not least, the Stuff Mom Never Told You podcast. I've really enjoyed that too, because it's all stuff with a feminist.
That rings a bell for some reason.
Yeah, it's howstuffworks.com.
Okay.
podcast.
I want to double back to when you were talking about being interrupted. I want to interrupt you.
Yeah. That's fine. I'm done.
It's great because we have our son's autistic, and we always tell him not to interrupt when he's interrupting, and he does it to us.
Yeah.
And it's ingrained. Now, he doesn't have any of the social barriers that the rest of us have.
Yeah.
If you're in public and you're talking and somebody interrupts you, he'll just look at him and say, "Don't interrupt, that's rude." It's awesome.
I love that. I love that so much.
Kids are the worst though, right? Because like you tell them not to like do something, and then you do it, and they tell you, and you're like, "Fuck," like, you know, like
Shit. Yeah.
No, I think it's cool that Loki holds us to the same standards that we hold him to.
oh no, it's good.
I don't know what your fucking problem is.
No, yeah.
Being held to the same
I know.
standards. but-
I don't want to be held to the same standards. No, Mummy can say "fuck off" as much as Mummy wants.
That's right. All right. Well, unless you have something else.
That's pretty much
All right.
the thrust of what I wanted to say.
It's funny because this is the first time I've been back in a long time. So, and I know that I was overreaching when I was talking a few times, and I was like, "Oh, I hope Angela doesn't yell at me."
You've established fear.
I've set a precedent. Oh, fuck.
Nice.